Welcome in, everyone, to this Week 16 preview of the Green Bay Packers taking on the Carolina Panthers. The Packers are coming off two games that everyone felt they should have won against the New York Giants and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, but they've dropped those last two and are looking to turn it around against the Carolina Panthers, who just got their second win of the season last week in a rainy, messy game. But let's take a look quickly at the defense and the offense of the Carolina Panthers, just to preview what the Packers will want to do against this team. And, you know, just because they have two wins doesn't mean they don't have bright spots. I'm going to point that out on the defensive film. There is so much to like from their defense that it's actually a scary matchup for the Packers, and I'm going to get into more detail on that once we get into the film. But I think I'll start out by looking at kind of the weaker point of the Carolina Panthers, which is their offense. And the number one overall pick, Bryce Young, has been a little bit flustered, and you're going to see that on the film as well. All right, so we're going to be starting with Carolina's offense here. And some of the things that I noticed is with their run game, they do like to pull a lot with their offensive linemen. So I think what you're going to see here is you've got both the center and the guard are going to pull out. You've got the tackle then and the tight end that are trying to down block. So essentially these guards, the centers, are supposed to come around and block whoever comes on the edge. And then there's supposed to be a little bit of a stutter step and then cut back behind these blockers. And I think that Ejiro Evero does a very good job of this. If we let this play out, you can see there's a blitzer off the edge, and Hubbard does a good job of getting some extra yardage. And then we're really gonna see this motion from the inside here. Even though that blitzer is coming off the edge, that actually played perfectly into their hands because the D line is moving and slanting towards the inside. You can see they're all slanting towards the inside while they have a blitzer coming off the edge, and that's just going to be playing right into the hands of Carolina, coming out, kicking this one out, and then the center will follow and try to kick out number 23 down the line. And we'll let this play out. And it's a nice run for Carolina. Now, on the next play, there's not too much that happens here, but it's just trying to show that Bryce Young is trying to take control of the offense. You can see the snap is here, and everyone at the line is trying to do run blocking, essentially. You've got everyone kind of crashing down here. You're supposed to have Hubbard get here and then potentially bounce out to the outside if there's nothing there. But Bryce Young essentially checks out. He sees this one-on-one matchup in the outside, and he's going to try to take that matchup. And we'll see. He's trying to fade away, and the throw is over the head. But you're really going to see this miscommunication here. He's trying to get people lined up. Doesn't see it. He sees that the front is basically jammed up. You've got everyone on the line of scrimmage except for the one-on-one. And he abandons the run. Ejiro Evero runs into him, and it's an incomplete pass. All right, so this next play, we've seen this motion across by Thielen, and he's going to be coming up, and he's supposed to be doing an in route. But because it was a little bit rainy in this, he's going to slip at the break, and this is really going to cause problems for Young. And this is one of the things that I noticed on film is like he really looks at his first read a lot, and then if it's not there, his eyes come down and they look at the rush. So let's play this out, and you'll see he sees that first read. Thielen is here. He's already slipped, which is given enough ground essentially to this corner, so that corner can then come up and break the pass if it was coming out of his hand. So that forces Young to hold the ball a little bit, and he's going to hold it here. Tries to look for a second read. Gets to a second read here. He doesn't feel comfortable making that pass, although I think if he leads him out and tries to flatten this out, he's going to be able to complete that pass, which is just beyond the first down marker. But he doesn't feel comfortable in doing that, so he's going to take his eyes down. And absorb a hit. I think if he throws the ball and tries to flatten it out for his tight end, he's going to be able to complete a pass, but instead he takes a sack. All right, this next play I really, really liked from Carolina. And they know that Tampa's corners are quite aggressive, and this is going to be a cover 3 zone by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and they're essentially going to play them perfectly. And you're going to have this guy come in on an orbit motion out to the flat, and then you're going to have him fake as if he's blocking, but then he's going to kind of release beyond the side. And this is going to be perfect because the cover 3 zone, you essentially have this man in a deep third, the safety in a deep third, and the other corner in a deep third. You're going to have the 2 backers. Actually, this is a dime, so you've got 1 backer and you've got the safety here. So you're going to have the 2 in the middle with hook zones, and then you're going to have this defender that's responsible for a curl, but also responsible for the flat. The same thing on this side. You would have him responsible for the flat on the other side, but this guy, number 29, is going to bite on this motion. He sees the motion coming across the field, and in his eyes, he's like, I need to come up and break this up, but that's really just going to let number 15 run free. So let's watch this play out. Here we have the motion. 15 faking as if he's going to block. And then 29 is already too late because 15's taken a step, and they're able to get that play over the top. So this is just really good play design by the offensive coordinator, knowing that the Buccaneers corners are pretty aggressive, even if they're in a zone, and he's able to get a free play over the top. All right, so on the very next play, this is just a simple run by Chuba Hubbard, but it shows you the desire that he has running the football. It's just going to be a simple zone kind of off to the right here, and he's able to find a cutback lane, and he keeps his legs driving in order to get to the end zone. That was just after the big play that they had. So you're going to see him drive here, finds this cutback lane, very, very tiny cutback, is able to shed the arm tackles here with the help of one of the defenders, and then he gets stood up by Winfield, and that was ruled a touchdown initially, but it gets called back, and they're able to score on this possession anyways. But very good drive by Hubbard. Something that I've seen in the film is he's just got great vision. He knows when to cut back, so this zone scheme is actually perfect for him. All right, so this next one is something that hopefully the Packers will take note of. Looking at some of his past games, you're going to see these 2 guys are in an alignment where they're essentially, you've got the Mike and you've got the nickel that are playing as if they're just playing in coverage. And this is really going to confuse Young. And we're going to see immediately after the snap, you've got both of these guys being sent on a blitz. And the concept here, I don't really like the concept by them. It's essentially a 4 verticals. You're going to have him kind of come over the middle a little bit. But they've ran this concept a few times where it's just these verticals down the line, and Tampa Bay perfectly counters it because you've got this blitz. They don't show the pressure, and they're able to get home because there's no way that the running back knows that this is happening. You're going to see this at the line of scrimmage. He's looking at the defense right now. You can see he's scanning the field. Right? He doesn't recognize that there's a blitz. He just thinks that it's going to be a normal coverage, some sort of cover 3. And instead of it being a cover 3, you've got this blitz off the edge. You're bringing 2 rushers. You drop the edge into kind of a hook zone here with those 2 blitzers, and he's just got no time to react. If we go back on this, he's not going to be able to see We just go back to the start. He doesn't do any sort of check to slide the protection. Normally, if a quarterback recognizes this, they're basically going to say, hey, let's slide, to the left here. Or he's going to switch this running back to the other side to say, hey, we need an extra body over here to help block. But that's not what happens. So he doesn't recognize the pressure because it's not being shown. And that's going to be an easy sack for the Buccaneers. All right, now we're in a short yardage situation on the goal line. This was after a big play to get them down to the 1 yard line. And you can see that this is a simple play action. They've been running on first down this entire game. So the Buccaneers are expecting a run, so they do a play action. But there's pretty good coverage down the field, and Young is able to scramble in. So that's one of the things that you look at a younger quarterback, Bryce Young, able to kind of scramble out here and make some plays. The coverage is good, but because these DBs don't actually know what's behind them, they can't be aggressive. They don't know that the routes in the back are stonewalled, so he kind of sits there at the goal line and isn't really able to get anything done. So Young just kind of prances in for a touchdown. All right, so this next play is essentially going to be the playmaking ability, or the attempted playmaking ability of Bryce Young here. It's late in the game, they're down, so he has to do something in order to win. And this is essentially going to be a cover one zone here. So you've got one high safety, and they've got man underneath. All right, so they've got essentially, they're stacking here, so they're probably going to switch. He's passing him off, he's just slowing him down. And then they're going to play man. And same thing on the other side. You're going to have these two try to key on whichever person comes out of this. And essentially 51 is going to be taking this tight end that comes out. But you've got man across the board with the one high safety. And your right tackle gets beat, so it forces him to step up. And at this point, he sees that his wide receiver is coming open. So he's gaining some leverage on the outside. And realistically, if he's able to set his feet and get a throw here, he's probably going to be okay. But now he's directing traffic. And he's making the throw, sending him upfield. And that's not really the greatest decision because you've got Antoine Winfield playing middle high. He sees the point, and you can see as soon as Bryce Young is pointing, we've got Antoine Winfield in the middle of the field right here, basically even, a little bit further to the sideline, basically even with Bryce Young. And he's just going to see, as soon as he points, he flips his hips. All right, let's see if we can go frame by frame. He sees that point, and immediately his hips are flipped towards the sideline. And he's able to get an interception. So this is just to kind of showcase Bryce Young. He's going to try to do everything he can in order to win the game, but sometimes he's not aware of the safety when he's trying to make those plays. And he's not able to fit it into that tight window. All right, now I'm heading over to the defense, and I just want to highlight a few of these players. Obviously, Derek Brown in the middle, number 95, a very, very good player. You've got Burns as well, strong player. And then I'm going to highlight Woods, who's having a great year back here at safety. You've got Derek Brown, who is unreal as a defensive tackle. You've got Brian Burns coming off the edge. And then on the outside, you have J.C. Horn. So we're just going to quickly look at this play here, just to show you the attention. And this is kind of setting the tone early in the game. You've got Brown heading on the inside. And look at the attention. You're going to have 1, 2, 3 people that are all focused on him. And then Gross Matos is going to be coming around the edge, basically unblocked. and gets a free shot at Baker Mayfield. And unfortunately, there was a holding on that play. But we're going to go back to another play, which just shows you the stunts, right? So we've seen it on this play. You see the attention that Derek Brown draws, because the center feels like he can't give him up. And if you're not going to give him up, you're just going to be paying for these stunts, essentially. And this is what happens. We're going to see a Mike scrape here. So the Mike, number 49, the middle linebacker, is going to be coming on a scrape. So you've got a 4-man rush here. And then you've got a blitz. He's showing that he's going to the B gap, but he's basically going to wrap around and head through the A gap on the opposite side. But again, you've got Derek Brown sitting there in the middle with 2 people on him. You've got nobody else to try to take this free rusher. And the center is finally stepping over. Baker recognizes that this scrape is coming, and luckily he's got an open Mike Evans. But Carolina isn't going to make it easy on you. You've got 1 contact, 2 contact, trying to get the ball out, but Mike Evans is good enough where he's able to catch that. Now you'll see the scrape from the back end here. You've got that Mike blitz. Actually a good pickup by the center. But we're going to move on to the next play. All right, so this kind of shows you the coaching a little bit. So this, you've got the motion where Godwin is heading over. He's going to be motioning to the other side, and then he's going to motion back. And this is just going to show you the discipline that this team has. They recognize the motion. So you're going to look at the 2 guys on the back end. You got 25, you got 27. Essentially, they're going to be rolling their coverage. Whoever is on the strong side of Godwin is going to be playing a different responsibility. They're essentially going to be playing a hook zone on the side of Godwin. And then whichever safety is on the opposite side is going to be taking the deep third. All right, so if Godwin motions over here, it would be 27 that takes this deep third. And if Godwin motions and comes back or stays on this side, then it's going to be 25 that is responsible for that deep third. So you're going to see just kind of the movement that they have here. Godwin loses his hand warmers, and you can see that 25 is already heading over that way. And it's actually a smart play call. It just is a really, really bad throw. It's a duck. It's in the rain. So it's not really that great. But if we go back to the start, we're not going to learn a lot from this view. So we're going to go back to the other view. And just thinking this conceptually, they're trying to catch them off guard. They're trying to get someone up the seam. And this motion is doing just enough to try to put that person out of position. And you can see, because of that motion, that hook zone is here. 26 is supposed to have the deep third, but he's sat here because he wasn't aware that there is somebody else coming vertical. Normally, it's supposed to be 26 heading vertical for a deep third, and that just doesn't happen. So if this ball is actually out on time and on a line, but it's rainy, so it slips out of his hand, it ends up being an interception instead. All right, so again, we've got more stunts, but this is a different stunt. It's not a tackle stunt. It's going to be the edge. So you're going to have essentially him heading to the outside, and then you're going to have a wraparound here from the edge, and they execute this just beautifully. So we're going to take a look at this. You can see that left guard is taking that tackle, and the defensive tackle is creating enough contact where it's just going to be a free rush lane for the Panthers, and it's just even more beautiful to watch from the other side. So if we're looking here, again, he's going to kind of take this route here where it's going to take the attention of 64, but he's going to work then on the other side, and then you're going to have this direct line, and kind of wrap around in the tight angle, and they're going to get an easy sack on Baker Mayfield, and it's just a beautiful play to watch. You get him working on the outside shoulder, enough contact on the tackle. Guard has to try to hold him, and the tackle can't work to get the edge. All right, so this next play is kind of a cover 3, cover 6 type defense. It looks more like it's a cover 3 match, where essentially if one of these guys goes vertical, then the outside corner is going to take him. So for me, it looks like 23 is vertical, 27 also has a deep third, and then one of these two is probably going to have the deep third. I would imagine that it's Jackson there that has a deep third. But it looks like it's probably a match zone. So they're basically going to be playing a hook zone. He's got a deep third. He's got a deep third. He's got a deep third. But whoever they match up with first is who they're going to then man up with. So you're going to see he's going to get vertical, which means eventually 23 is going to take him. And then you're going to have kind of this cluster once they get to at the end of their stem here. And it's going to be free real estate for Evans, who's essentially running like a fade, but then wraps it around into the seam. And this is just an excellent route. So he's attacking the corner directly. Baker has already thrown it out of his hand. And it's just a beautiful pass. So it really seemed to me like it was a cover 3 match. And then because it ended up being man, Evans, all he had to do was beat one person. And they're attacking the seams just like they did against the Packers. Easy yards on those seams. And there's nobody there in the deep middle because 27 thought he was supposed to have 88 who was going to the middle third of the field, but he's not able to get anything done there. All right, so after looking at some film from the Carolina Panthers and obviously watching every single Packer game, I think that this is going to be a close game. The defense of the Panthers is going to be quite good, and that's something that the Packers can't underestimate. So they're going to get a lot of pressure on the interior, lots of pressure in different looks and different coverages. So if they're not prepared, it could be a loss. I honestly think that the Panthers could potentially win this game. But, of course, you know, the Packers do have the better overall roster. So I think the Packers edge this one out 20-17. It's going to be a close game, a defensive battle, because neither offensive line is going to be able to protect their quarterback. If you guys made it this far, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video.